Hello, this is David Burch at Star Path School of Navigation in Seattle with notes on progress of Jacob Addaram as he rose from Seattle to Cairns, Australia, getting closer every day after he had a kind of a slow progress here for a couple weeks. The winds were just not helping him at all, but you see down here he's back in gear. There are red dots between each day, and if we look here, see this, well, let me zoom in, you see, and okay, where am I? I'm on the Google Earth, and you can get this overlay, which is all of this stuff that's inside this jacob.data.kml. You download that from our website or from the link I'll put in the description. And then you can look at all these weather conditions as he rows across. Well, we got him rowing here, but we also do learn a whole lot about weather and climate and so forth from his adventure. So we appreciate that. Now we have this set up so that we put a red dot about 00 Zulu. So here's one like 0. Well, it's 30 minutes after 00, right? So that's there. And then we're here. We're just now 23:38. Actually, it's almost time. By the time I'm done with this video, he'll be one more dot out here. So what you can do always is just go up to the Google Earth and make a line, and then just go from, say, this red line down to, let's say, where is he going to be? He's going to be about here, you see. So look at that. That's 49 miles. So let's say that's safely 48. That's 2 knots. So he's making good 2 knots. And more important, he's making 2 knots in exactly the right direction. See, this is the rum line going to Cairns here, and he's right on the rum line, and these are 400 miles apart, 400, 800. So look at this. Here's some kind of milestone that's going to happen during the night. Sometime during the night, he's going to cross over the 1,000 mile mark, so that'll be interesting. So that's what's going on. However, what his success here is a large part due to the wind, plus some really good seamanship of his on this boat. Because this wind is strong out of the east. Let's look at what we see in the ASCAT here. I don't see anything on that one. You can see here it missed him a little bit, but this wind is blue-green. This is right in the 15. He's got 15 to 20 knots of wind is what he's had. Now, that's a real measurement here of 15 to 20. We can look at what the forecasts are down here. Let me just shut those all off, and you see they have him at 15 right there. That's Australia. And then just going down the line, see, then it starts picking up 20. This is what his concern is right now. This wind is picking up from 20, and it's veering around a little bit, and it's pointing him right up in here to some troublesome areas. And you see that still stays the same. There's 20 knots. There's 20 knots again. So that's the issue. We'll look at that in the GFS, in the FV3 GFS shortly. But his issue is he's getting pushed up into here. Now, what this is, let me hide whatever we're looking at here. This is a reef. This stuff's all underwater. I don't know if there's any positive parts of it at all here. You can go along with the Google Earth and see if any of this gets positive, but there's 0, and so forth. But basically, this is something called indispensable reef right here, quite a big arrangement. And right up here is this island. Does it have its name? Rennell Island is here. And this is... would normally, he's passed quite a few islands that are real tropical paradises, that are picture book. This island is not at all picture book. This island is having all kinds of troubles, with mining and deforestation and just a lot of trouble with their ecology. But then, on top of all that problems, then a couple months ago, early February, a tanker went aground here. So there's oil leaking out. Here's the Solomon Trader. That's a big oil tanker, and I'll put a link to this New York Times. There's tons of, you could just put Rennell Island oil spill, and you'll find tons of articles about it. But that ship's in here aground right about there. And so now when this oil comes out, now in principle it's contained, but if oil patches do get away, right, then they're going to come out here, and chances are they're going to be blown this way. The wind and current are both going that way, but still, he really would not like to be anywhere near this area because he's got a water maker that doesn't like anything but the absolute purest salt water. So he's going to try very hard to keep south of these islands. But if you look at the wind on his boat there, you see he's got this wind pretty much on the beam, or maybe the quarter, but he's having to work real hard, and as this wind comes around and gets stronger, it's going to be even harder. So he's working hard on that to try to stay, if he can, south of this point right here. But at this course right now, you see, not very good. Not very good. So that's something he's got to think about. And if he just goes on a sea anchor, then he'll drift north. And then he'll just probably slowly, gradually drift up this way. And then he gets more into this area. So his angles aren't any better. And we're going to look in a minute. Well, you can see here, you go clear out 4 days. That 4 days from now, that wind is still out of the south. So that doesn't get any better. Excuse me, not out of the south, but pushing him up this way. So that's on the. So if sea anchor is not good news, he's just got to work as hard as he can now, and he's been successful at that, and that's hard. I have to have a lot of friends that do ocean rowing, and it's really hard to keep that boat with that wind on the beam. You just get exhausted, and you're rolling and so forth. So it's hard to keep both oars. You can't keep both oars in the water, right? And so it's a huge task. But he's doing great so far. Now, let's see. So, and we're going to look at that wind carrying on. One other aspect of this, I think I mentioned that he's almost at the 1,000-mile mark. This 400, 800, that'll be 1,000 miles. That's a milestone after rowing over, some 7,000 or 6,000. But the thing that has been hurting him on fighting this beam wind is he's had squalls, a lot of squalls, and the squalls crank up 25, 30 knots, and then that's just not doable. And so that's shut him off a little bit. But I want to show you in a minute, we can forecast those squalls. That's one of the powers of this new model, the new model of FV3, finite volume on a cube or something it's called. It's a new version of a GFS model. And that model globally in the ocean, in the bays, wherever, will forecast squalls. And I want to show you in the next, in a minute here, that we can actually see those squalls that he is giving him so much trouble. And we'll look at that in a minute. But one other thing while we still have this picture up here is we can go over here and look at the currents. I want to just show you some interesting thing on the currents. What's the clouds looking like here? Well, I don't know what we learned from that, if anything. Okay, I want to look at the currents. Okay, here are the currents, and then here is the Oscar currents. That's the average of 8 days. That's the average of the past 8 days. They publish every 5 days, and we don't see much in that. We really don't see much going on there. But here's what's interesting: the Artoff's model, and this is an ocean model. And right now, this ocean model has something very interesting here. It has him going, this is right now, actually, his position right now. Well, actually, it's sort of right. I'm looking at it live, right? It's right here. Oh, so you see that red dot just came up, just loaded on here. So that means it's just past 5 o'clock here in Seattle. Yep, 5:02. So this thing updates live, and that's where the boat is now. Somehow, I must have... Okay, you'll see in a minute when I go back to where I got this picture from. I had advanced the boat. I was looking at something and I had advanced the boat an hour or two. So, but look at this. He's heading into a patch of this green current here. And if I turn on the scale, you see that green current is over a knot. It's kind of yellowish almost, maybe 1.5, 1 knots. So that looks really promising, that when he gets up here, he's going to have some, if it's true. And so that's one thing we're looking for. With this, one of the reasons, Jacob's a friend and former student, but that's one thing. The other thing is we're trying to learn as much as we can about these predictions. We haven't had much encouraging with the currents. We've had very encouraging results with the squall forecasting. So what I'm hoping is that he sees this big kick in the pants here, and for this is like tomorrow, and then he starts seeing this really nice ride. So we'll see. We'll see in the next day or so. So let me now stop that and go into Luck Grib. It's with the program we're using to follow him. And let's see if I can go to a hand. Okay, here's just a hand. So the first thing I want to show is here's his boat. This is right now. That's right this moment. And you see, and these are the squalls. You see this simulated radar reflectivity. And anytime you get up around 30, you're in a squall. Not just a little light showers. You're in a squall. And so you see, he's got these, and let's go back. He was having these troubles last night, and you see here's some even, and they don't, how much can we trust this model? We can't necessarily say that this squall is here and not here. All it's telling us, if we were out there navigating ourselves and we're going anywhere through an area like this, what we are learning is that there are squalls in this area. Not that it's going to be this latitude and longitude right here at precisely this time, but you're on the alert for this. You can, and if it's daylight, or these usually happen in the evening and in the evening, late evening, early evening, and maybe the morning. So you'll see them on the horizon. But you see this. We're seeing those squalls. Where's the boat? There's the boat right there, that little white line. And you see that it's in and out of these squalls. And the very fact that we see these here means they could be all over anywhere. They could be right on top of him the whole time and so forth. But he's in... Okay, and now you see down here is a little less. This is Saturday, Sunday. Where's the boat here? Saturday and Sunday. Oh, okay. Oh, the boat's down here. See, Saturday, Sunday, he's not in so many squalls. But back here, when he really was in them, and he told us that, he saw those here. Okay, so that's that. And then we can also look at this picture. I drew this in. The base map of Luck Grib doesn't show the reef, so I drew the reef in with this just marker, top end, bottom end. Here's the island. There's where the oil spill is right there. And here's where he's coming down. There's Cairns. And so then you can just drag this along and watch the boat. And let's see, do I have him set up now? Well, it's still 1.5 knots. He's actually going closer to 2. But let's stay a little conservative and leave it at that. And so you see him trucking down here. So that would be, 3 days or so, maybe closer to 2 days, 2 or 3 days. Hopefully he can get down south of here. But now this model, watch the wind right next to where the boat is. Here's the boat as we come up here. And you see that's still pretty strong, pushing him up there. But now it's little 15 knots. What is this actual wind here? 14, 15, and so forth. So now look at that. It's getting lighter. So if he can punch through till Sunday or so, then it's getting lighter and you have more control over the boat. So let's see, if I'm going to write him a note, I would say, look at the end of Saturday night, Sunday morning. But that's still 3 days away. The model could change by then. But those are the main things I wanted to show, that for the next 3 or 4 days, he's still got these strong winds and trying to deal with getting around that corner. And I think I'll leave it at that.